Good afternoon, all of you. Welcome. I'm Doug Jones, Chair of the Vancouver Island Chapter of CARP, and I welcome you to this hybrid chapter meeting, which is in collaboration with the Beacon Community Services. And we are here at the Shoal Centre in Sydney. For those of you who are watching simultaneously online, and also for those who will be watching later on YouTube as we record each session. Next slide, please. There we go. So next slide as well. Thank you. So we acknowledge and respect the many First Nations of Vancouver Island and the Canadian Gulf Islands of the Salish Sea, on whose territory the CARP Vancouver Island Chapter operates, and whose historic relationships to the land continue to this day. Okay, next slide. Oh, that worked. So for those of you online, it would be nice if you just indicate where you're from in the chat line. We'll have a look at it later. And also, if you enter questions there, I'll read out the questions to the people at the end as well. So please mute your microphone, though, if you are online, because otherwise we tend to get feedback and we have problems. And hold your questions, and I'll say that to the audience here as well. Hold your questions to the end, and that gives everybody a chance, an equal chance to ask questions, and try to keep them brief. We will be recording this meeting to have later on YouTube, and information will be on our Facebook page as well as in our newsletter as for those who aren't here now, and you may want to give them information later, which would be useful for them. We'll try to keep the meeting exactly on time and end at 3 p.m. So today's speaker is Amanda Marchand. She's going to provide some of her perspectives on the United Way. Introduce Amanda from from the United Way. And I've only known Amanda for a short time, but in that time I've been rather impressed with all the things that she's got on the go and her ability to communicate the things that are going on. She's well known for her Better at Home program, which we'll be discussing today, along with some of the other components. And there'll be also an opportunity for Amanda to give a little bit of an update with Margot Whale and Helen, rather, to give us a talk on a little bit about Beacon. So, Amanda, if you come forward, I'll start the sharing for your.
Thank you. Thank you. It's not a okay. That's all right.
Was that this a little closer? Right.
Okay. Sounds good.
To share.
Well, hello, everybody. I feel like I'm in a Hollywood studio with the lights and the microphone. And so thank you for your warm presence. I have driven down from Duncan today, and every time I walk into the doors at Beacon, my heart just opens. It's like coming home. And my little joke when I was here last is, can I get on the wait list? Because all the programs here are amazing. The staff are committed deeply, and I just love being here. So thanks for the friends that kept me company. Some of us got here so early, and so I really enjoyed our conversations. So again, my name is Amanda Marchand, and I am the Healthy Aging Manager for United Way, British Columbia. Has everyone heard of United Way, British Columbia? Probably. It's got some recognition, yeah. And so my job is to support all the amazing people on the front lines who are every day in service to seniors in their communities. And to that end, I'd like to just reintroduce briefly my colleagues in this work, Margot, a little wave, and Helen. So Margot and Helen work here at Beacon, and they do an amazing job running the social prescribing program here at Beacon. And so I'm going to go through my presentation, and then at some point, they're both going to come up and talk to you about a really interesting program called social prescribing. I also want to give a big thanks to Brenda, who's in the corner there greeting us, and also to Doug for inviting us to be here today. I really appreciate it. We actually share a lot at United Way, British Columbia in common with CARP. We have a lot in common. Our mission and our values are very aligned. And so thank you to all the folks online and who are watching this on YouTube later, and everyone who came in person. Really, really appreciate CARP's leadership in the senior serving spaces. So let's get my dolls here. There we go. To begin, I'd love to share with you about how United Way British Columbia engages in this work called Healthy Aging. If we've done our job well enough here today, by the time you leave, you will have a really good sense of the programs that are available, both here at the Shoal Center, thanks to Beacon Community Association, but also throughout Vancouver Island and the Gulf Islands, because I think we have some people coming in here probably from some of the smaller Gulf Islands and outside of this area. So to do that, I want to talk to you a little bit about the leadership that informs this work, as well as the values that underpin it, and then a little bit about the programs with a deeper dive into our social prescribing program. So, we missed this. Oh no, that's right. Here we go. It's good. I sort of spoke ahead. So I'd like to talk to you about the community-based senior services. I said that pretty quick. Community-based senior services, or CBSS. I'm going to use this word throughout the presentation, CBSS. And what it is a broad definition that includes all the nonprofit agencies, including Beacon and municipal agencies, rec centers, community coalitions, neighborhood houses. Everyone was doing this work, serving seniors in programming. We refer to them as the CBSS sector. And in BC, we have a really robust CBSS sector. Oops. Let's see here. Here we go. When I say healthy aging, and when the folks here at the Shoal Center say healthy aging, what we're basically saying is that we have a vision for older adults that they can live and thrive in the communities that they call their home. And to that end, I just want to share a very brief story about my friend Joe. My friend Joe is from Kitsilano. We've been friends for a very long time. I met Joe in choir. I was actually looking to kind of adopt a grandmother because I'm really missing my own. But after a 20-year relationship, we were more friends, and she became a grandmother to my daughter. Had a very close relationship, and Joe passed last year. Joe was in had a very lively life. Attended university courses. Was always at the senior center taking programs. And one day she found out that she could no longer continue to rent in the apartment that she was renting, and she'd been there for 26 years. You can imagine how challenging that was to be looking for housing in your 80s. So thankfully, I was able to reach out to the Kits Neighborhood House, which is a healthy aging program, and talk to the people there and say, my friend Joe really needs some support. What can we do? And this is before I started at United Way BC, so I should have mentioned that. And that's when I first learned about all of these amazing programs. The coordinator there, who was a part of the Better Home program, was able to connect me with some housing options for Joe, made some really good suggestions. And as it turns out, Joe moved into the Kitsilano Seniors Assisted Living Facility that's attached right to their place, where she got light housekeeping, was a part of the social meals. She was going to yoga. I would call her and say, Joe, what are you up to this day? You know, because she was always up to something. And she said, oh, I'm reading books to the kids in the daycare downstairs. So this is a personal story sharing about the power of these programs. Before we talk about those programs, I really want to talk to you about the leadership that informs these programs. There's a really wonderful slogan that I learned from seniors who are involved in this work, and it says, nothing about us without us. Nothing about us without us. And it's, of course, used to communicate the idea that no policy or decision should be made by representatives without it being informed by the people who are impacted by those decisions. To that end, I'm really proud that this work of healthy aging within United Way British Columbia is informed by the Provincial CBSS Leadership Council. This is a strategic body that is combined with folks who are from agencies such as Beacon, but also seniors themselves who are setting the strategic direction for British Columbia. Just last year, just to highlight some of the work that they did, they advised on the equitable distribution of grants for healthy aging programs throughout British Columbia. They guided and worked on the Healthy Aging Summit that was held in 2024, and they're back at it for 2026. And they advocated for system level changes and policy changes. And Jennifer Van Ness isn't here today, but I just want to send a real big shout out to Jennifer for being on the Leadership Council from Beacon Community Association. So Thank you, Jennifer, for your leadership and passion at that table. All right, let's get into it. I've lost the mouse. No, there it is. Okay. All right. So before we talk about all the programs one by one, I'd love to give you a kind of a provincial outlook. So you can see this is a map of British Columbia, and there we are in the little corner there, Vancouver Island and Gulf Island. The healthy aging programs that we're going to speak to you today started back in 2012 with the Better Home program, and Beacon was at that beginning phase. They were at the very beginning of the creation of that program. The Better Home program, which is still here at Beacon, is designed to help seniors with non-medical tasks, which help them stay at home and connected to their community. From this program, this flagship program, there was investment into a number of programs, which we're going to talk about today. And I really think it's important that we acknowledge our gratitude to the provincial government. They've been a steadfast ally in the shared work. And in April of this past year, the province of BC announced it was investing $304 million in seniors programming across BC. It's quite incredible. So these programs have grown, and today we have a whole family of programs, including Aging in Motion program, which is a transportation program, Better Home program, we'll get into in a moment, Family Friend Caregiver Support program, Social Meals program, social prescribing, which we'll be hearing about today, the Therapeutic Activation program, and the Volunteer Coordination Supports program. So on Vancouver Island, we have 32 community agencies, like including Beacon, that are delivering 70 programs, and it includes a whole range of those. So how would you find out about these programs and, you know, what's in your community? Well, for the folks sitting here, of course, just walking out and talking to anyone at the front desk about the programs that are here. But if you're online, you can go on United Way British Columbia's website and find this map. And in here is some icons that you can click. Now, if being online isn't your thing, no problem. Just reach out to United Way British Columbia. We'll be able to get you connected. You can call and we can get you connected to the agency that's in your community who's doing this work. So before we go into the programs, I just want to speak for a moment about the staff that deliver these programs and the volunteers. These are the people who are on the front lines every single day, developing relationships, problem solving, filling gaps, and executing these really amazing programs in a way that really reflects the community's needs. They do such an incredible job. I'm looking at you, Deb. They're doing such an incredible job, and I really appreciate all the passion you bring. So thank you so much. These programs come alive thanks to volunteers. I'll be talking about volunteers later in the presentation. So here in Sydney, we're seeing this amazing agency, and then the 5 healthy aging programs here. So I'll be talking about these programs and I'll identify which ones are here. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about the programs that you might be interested in. Some of you might already be in some of these programs. All right, so sometimes it's better to explain things with a story. So I'll tell another story, which is that we had a participant in the Better Home program. She was a woman who needed some help with some light housekeeping. So, you know, those things that are hard to get to, the floors that need to be scrubbed and the bathroom that needs to be cleaned out, all the hard to reach places. And she was getting housekeeping twice a month. It was going very well, and she really appreciated the services, and so did her husband. As time progressed, she developed early stage dementia. And one of the things that was difficult for her in that transition was that she was no longer independently able to go visit her daughter in long-term care. Now, her daughter has Parkinson's and is in long-term care. So you can imagine that this was a weekly part of this woman's life to go visit her daughter, and then she was no longer able to do that independently. Put a lot of pressure on her husband to make that happen for her. So her husband was speaking to the Better Home coordinator and shared a little bit about what was happening on the home front, and that he was feeling he was juggling a lot more, taking care of things at home, taking care of some of her emerging medical needs, than his daughter in care, and it was starting to be a real weight on his shoulders. So the Better Home coordinator said, leave this with me. I'll see what we can do here. And she got into her amazing Rolodex and found a very special volunteer. This volunteer from the community who had been, who was a part of the organization for a time, was a trusted volunteer, began taking this woman so that she could go visit her daughter on a weekly basis. They formed a connection. The husband felt relieved that it wasn't on him to arrange all the transportation. And more than anything, mother and daughter got a chance to spend some quality time together. So I raised this story because I really think it reminds us of the power of connection and community and compassion. And that's really what this Better Home program is all about. Now we can get into the specifics. So most of us in BC age a long time. I don't know if you know, but we have some of the highest life expectancies in the world here in Canada. And, with the age demographic changing and individuals 55 and older growing as a demographic, we know that we need some infrastructure and programs to support that. And that's exactly what Better Home does. So Better Home, like as mentioned before, helps with all the kind of day-to-day tasks that, not all the day-to-day tasks, some of the day-to-day tasks that are non-medical in nature. The next slide is going to give you some examples of those services. It's pretty small, but this is a snapshot of our provincial data from this last fiscal year. From 24-25. And as you can see, one of the most heavily accessed services there is the light housekeeping. The next up is our meal services, and then family visiting. Each agency and program develops out its own programs and offerings based on what they have capacity to do with volunteers and what assets they have in the organization. So what they do here in Beacon is going to look slightly different than what they do in Esquimalt, for example. So if you want to find out what exactly the Better Home program does here, it's great to go talk to Deb, and all the wonderful staff here will be able to give you some insight into that. Yeah, and with each slide coming up, you'll see we talk about the total number of services delivered provincially. Just to give you a scope, give you some perspective on that, 363,000 services were offered to seniors through the Better at Home program in BC in that fiscal year. And I'm really proud that we, with our partners on Main Island and Muscogee Island, we now have Better Home programs on those small little islands, which means that we have the first off-grid Better Home program in British Columbia here on Muscogee Island. So pretty neat. Okay, another program that's very close to my heart, because I worked in this program for 6 years up in the Cowichan Valley, is the Family and Friend Caregiver Support Program. That program is also here in Beacon. And that program is dedicated to empowering and supporting family caregivers who are showing up to take care of family members who have significant health needs. So that could be chronic health conditions, frailty, that kind of thing. It is a really vital program that offers caregivers some connection through the support groups, emotional support, information and resources, everything that they kind of need to be able to get a little bit ahead of some of the stress that can come from family caregiving, and to create connection and community through it. So again, we have a BC snapshot, and there's 16 agencies in British Columbia, including Beacon, that delivered over 42,000 services to family caregivers, which is quite amazing. So if you're a family caregiver, consider. And if you don't have a program, we only have 4 programs, these programs on Vancouver Island. There is a provincial organization called Family Caregivers of BC, which can also provide support. So there's support for you out there. Next up is the Therapeutic Activation Program for Seniors. I like to joke that Beacon, even though they don't have this program, pretty much does this work, because I walked in and there was like tennis table and people are working on all kinds of working projects and stuff. So therapeutic activation happens here, but in terms of the program itself, I'll tell you a little bit about it. This is a welcoming space for seniors to get together to usually have a lunch, a meal of some kind, and be in connection with each other through activities, whether it's chair yoga or doing puzzles or whatever it may be. It operates under the idea that it's a person-centered framework, so everyone who comes is welcome based on their abilities. So it definitely, there's a range of folks there with a range of needs, and all participants are welcome to the table and are celebrated. So there's lots of birthday celebrations, there's lots of camaraderie. And this program is really meant to reduce isolation and really support emotional, physical, and mental well-being. So that's the TAPS program. I'm hoping that if there's a program that pops up for you, you think that might be interesting, that make a mental note of it and let's see if we can get you connected. The other one that's here at Beacon is social meals. And it's just as you imagine, it's bringing people together over nutritious food where people can connect and develop friendships. So whether it's a drop-in lunch scenario where you would come and meet with others, it can also, in some cases, be an in-home experience where a volunteer might drop off a warm meal and enjoy a meal with someone. Again, each agency that's delivering these programs defines how they're going to do that. And so there's some variations for sure. Yeah, when I was walking to Beacon, I connected with a woman very quickly, and she said that she just moved here 19 months ago. So it's hard when you're moving from out of province or internationally. And she met a friend very quickly through table tennis, and they were here to play today. And she said that they've continued to meet here for coffee, over meals, and or table tennis, and it's really made a difference for her. All right, next up is Aging in Motion. This is a really important program because, as you know, transportation options can sometimes be limited as our needs grow and shift. And so this program is supporting, I think there was, 24 funded programs with over 3,000 seniors supported to get to medical appointments, to see family, to support group appointments and that kind of thing. And this program is really because of volunteers. In so many cases, it's the volunteers that are doing this work. So we really appreciate all the volunteers that come together to help with driving. And on that note, the last one here that I'm going to talk about today is the Volunteer Coordination and Supports Program. Did you know that like the vast majority of people who are volunteering in BC for seniors are seniors themselves? I'm probably looking at a room full of seniors. There's volunteers. There's many ways that you support your neighbors informally through volunteering, but you may also show up and be on a board, or you might go walk dogs with the SPCA, whatever it is you do. Thank you for doing it, because of your efforts, these programs get to do so much more. So we're really, really appreciative of all of the volunteer supports. And that wraps up my section of the programs. Next up, I'd love to have Elena Margot come up and share about the social prescribing program. And then we'll take some questions at the end.
Okay. We're used to using the clicker. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Helen Whale. I am one of the community connectors employed here at the Shoal Centre. I work on a job share basis with my colleague Margot James, who's going to be speaking after me. And between us, we're going to be describing the social prescribing programme that we offer here at Shoal. So social prescribing is a new United Way programme. It's funded by the United Way. It's been around for about 3 years now. It's been rolled out over a number of years. There was initial pilot programs. Then last year we had the community connectors. This is the social prescribing role employs community connectors. We had community connectors employed across Vancouver Island last year, and that's been rolled out to even more communities. So it's a person-centered, very much community engaged model that addresses the non-medical, so the non-clinical social supports, the social needs that individuals need. And the program is aimed at older adults 55 plus. So that covers a lot of people in our community, a lot of people on the Summit Peninsula, across Vancouver Island and across BC. I learned this morning, just building on something Amanda was saying about the longevity of seniors in our community. I was at a session with Island Health this morning, and it was emphasised that on southern Vancouver Island, we have the longest living adults in Canada. So we're in a community where we can really make a difference and really address the needs for older adults. So social prescribing is really aimed at meeting the needs, the non-medical needs around social needs, around emotional needs, and also about improving individuals' practical well-being. Sorry, what's this? So social prescribing, it was developed in the UK as part of the National Health Service. It's been in place for a number of years. So we all know that doctors prescribe us medicine. So we get a prescription, we go to the doctors, we get a prescription for medicine, we take it to the pharmacy. Social prescribing uses the same model in that ourselves as social prescribers, we will prescribe an activity, we'll prescribe access to a program. So we're using that prescription approach by talking to individuals, finding out what is important and what do they need. So social prescribing was established in the UK, and over a number of years it has rolled out to North America and lots of other parts of the world. And it's actually taken root in a number of different agencies. So we're called community connectors. In other parts of Canada, the term is senior navigator, senior connectors. I was describing my role to a colleague a few months ago. I said, I'm a community connector. And she said, it sounds like a bus. And that made me laugh. But then I thought, well, actually, yes. I mean, we're a bus in that we're taking people places. We're actually helping them get on that bus of access to whatever is important to them in terms of improving their quality of life. So it's based on the idea. So it's addressing what we call the social determinants of health. So these are the conditions in which people live, in which they age, in which they work. Because many older adults are still working. You know, many people have needed to continue working. So it's influenced by our environment, where we live. So is there good transportation? Is it affordable, the area that we live? And I know that certainly southern Vancouver Island, Vancouver, Long Island, it is an expensive place to live. So that impacts people's ability and their quality of life. The weather, now we're very lucky here. We have weather that means we don't always have icy sidewalks. We don't have to worry, can I actually go out and walk today because it's really icy and I'm going to fall? Whereas if we were in Alberta or Manitoba, the weather there is going to influence our ability to get out. It also impacts, or social determinants of health also are related to, do we have access to regular nutritious meals? Do we have friends and family? Do we have people we can connect with? Do we have people we can ask for help if we're in an emergency situation? And also, how secure are we in our daily lives? It's also related to what are our habits? You know, do we want to exercise? Do we drink, was it 8 cups of water we're supposed to drink every single day? What type of food do we eat? Do we, you know, drink alcohol perhaps to excess? All of these are factors that influence our ability to live healthy, quality lives. So as I mentioned, there are a number of factors that influence individuals' ability to stay healthy, and it's estimated that only 20% of a person's health outcomes are linked to medical interventions. And so in other words, 80% of a person's health is very much determined by non-medical factors. And those factors are some of the examples I've just given you around individual behaviors, environmental factors, social factors, but also other elements around that. So what are the immunization rates in a community? What are the access to services? You know, do people have access to be able to get to a community event? So one of my colleagues provides the community connector role in Port Hardy. And so you can imagine that's a very different environment to here in Sydney. And so they have to think more broadly about how do we ensure that people can actually attend our activities? What are the transportation links there? And they end up using volunteers as drivers in probably a broader capacity than we might do in terms of taking people to activities. Okay. We've covered that. And here we are, that's that slide next. So the Canadian Institute of Social Prescribing undertook a systemic review of 7 global social prescribing studies. And this revealed that as a result of social prescribing, so as a result of the intervention of a community connector like myself or Margot, 48% of participants reported more frequent physical activity. They were actually encouraged to get out. And I know that certainly a number of the people that Margot and I work with, sometimes it takes a little bit of confidence to actually go and attend a group, maybe there's a balance that we have here, for example. They might not feel necessarily encouraged, perhaps based on previous experience or maybe lacking confidence in their own physical ability. And so sometimes going along with that person to the very first class, taking it with them, introducing them to other people, means that the next time they go, they recognize someone, someone said hello to them. They feel much more comfortable in attending that. And you're also starting to build up that social connection, which is also a really key part of attending an activity or a class. So 48% reported more frequent activity. 20% reported improvements in their health status. And I don't know how they actually defined that in terms of the beginning to the end of the study, but they saw improvements. And 23% reported improvements in their overall health confidence, in terms of how confident they felt about their health at that point. And so I think another really important element to this is social prescribing is not just about improving an individual's well-being. It's actually about strengthening the whole community as a result, because communities are made up of individuals. And if we're improving one individual, 2 individuals, 3 individuals' ability to have better quality of life, that is going to overall improve the community. And I think, yeah, when people are connected to those right supports, everyone benefits. So our role is community connector. So as I've perhaps already covered, the role is to reduce social isolation, and it's also to help all around stay independent. Everyone wants to mostly stay at home as long as they can, but with the right resources, with the right supports, the right programs that will enable them to feel safe and happy at home. I'm just going to give you an example of somebody I'm working with. This was a gentleman who had some surgery. He came home. He lives on his own. His daughter called with his permission, and that's a really important factor. And Margot will talk about the referral process. Individuals need to give permission for us to speak to them, for us to connect with them. We have to respect that not everyone wants to do activities and be attached to programs. It's an individual's choice. So this individual's daughter contacted me. She was concerned that he wasn't eating. She was concerned that he was struggling on his return home after surgery. So I contacted him. I went to see him. And what I also learned was that this individual had vision loss. He was really struggling to see around his apartment, as well as struggling with the after effects of surgery. So I was able to connect him with our food program. We have access to a food bank, because this individual is also low income. I also was able to go on the CNIB website and actually find him a telephone which had much bigger buttons, because a really practical thing I was able to connect him with was the ability to make phone calls. He could just about see, but he needed to put his glasses on. He needed a flashlight to even look at the buttons on his phone. And so being able to enable him to order this phone has really made a difference to his ability to stay connected to the outside world, to speak to his daughters on a regular basis, and also just create orders for food to be delivered. So it's one example of someone I started working with. So the types of things that we connect people to are things that, or resources that meet potentially their basic needs. So it could be they need access to food. They might want access to maybe a meal program. Maybe they're looking for access to the food bank or information around that. It might also be around housing. We have a seniors housing navigator here at the Shoal Centre that we can connect individuals to if they're find themselves in a situation where they might be homeless, where they maybe need to move somewhere else. I mean, we have quite a significant number of seniors who are renting, and with rental rates increasing, some individuals are not on a fixed rental rate, and they find themselves needing to move to a different place. And I think one of the examples Amanda gave was somebody who'd been in their house many, many years, and then having to find a new place at a no rate is not something anyone probably would want to do. We also help people and we connect them with people who help them to apply for maybe their kind of dental plan, maybe their old age security, their pension. Some of these things are not necessarily straightforward and easy for everyone, so we can help them with that. We ask people, what brings you joy? This is important. What makes a difference to them? What do they used to enjoy doing before that they would really like to re-engage with? Another element around that is, and just taking it back to the medical prescribing element, a doctor often asks you, okay, what's the matter with you? We ask, what matters to you? What's important to you? What makes a difference? And so we identify activities and programs for this individual that will help support mental stimulation, mental well-being, and reduce that social isolation. And so it could be maybe connecting them to a walking club, it's a counselling program, maybe a grief program. That might be something that they need access to, even if it's been several years perhaps since someone has passed. And these connections support both the emotional and their social well-being. It makes a difference. So why does it matter? Probably thinking, well, it improves mental health and quality of life. People are healthier when they are connected to resources and supports in their own communities. It also improves their confidence, their quality of life, and their social connectedness. And I think we also can see that it would decrease individuals' access to healthcare services because they're healthier, having access to food, activities, and also physical activity, which all make a difference to an individual's quality of life and their healthcare status. And reducing isolation is such a critical factor. I think finally, it reduces that reliance on the traditional medical interventions. We really want to reduce individuals having to go to the emergency room, if at all possible. And I think anything we can do as a society to actually help people stay more connected and improve their quality of life has got to be a good thing and something that I think we all feel really passionate about. So on that note, I'm going to pass over to Margot, who's going to talk about the referral process and also give some examples of the type of people we work with and other types of activities we can people do.
Thank you, Helen and Amanda, and thank you for welcoming me. I am Margot James, and I will be quite quick. I know we're a little pressed for time, so we'll go through quite quickly. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does it all work? So we'll go through the slides here. What happens is the person that wants a motivated adult has to want this service to start with. So they can be referred, they can self-refer, they can come to us directly, or quite often we take referrals from a medical professional. So we work with doctors' offices, there's nurse practitioners, social workers, community nurses, all those types of people can refer to us. And what the community connector does then is they'll meet with the individual, they'll start building a rapport, chatting with them, getting to know their likes and their dislikes. And we do a wellness plan after the first couple of meetings. And it's based on what that person wants to do. So again, as Helen said, what brings you joy? So we talk about the things that's going to bring them joy. What are the things that are missing in their life? How can we connect you? So each person's wellness plan is geared right to their wants and their needs. And then the community connector will make lists, do research. We know what's going on in the community, and then we try and match people to the things that they like. There you go. That's what I talked about. So the services that a community connector can prescribe to: social activities, bridge. We have lots of bridge going on here at Shoal Center. There's crafts, woodworking, knitting, discussion groups, music. There's choirs in Sydney. There's ukulele jam going on here. And services, I'll just go put it here. So quite often, and I think Amanda mentioned this, family and caregiver support. We have people come in and they are really, sorry, just trying to get through here. They don't know what to do because their spouse is not well. They're overwhelmed, and we can refer them to, there's in-person groups. There's about 3 or 4 here at Shoal. They meet once a month. So there are support groups that the spouse can come to, and they can discuss what's going on. They can share their ideas with their friends. They're building a network. There's also some online programs, and there are some of them through Canada or BC Family Caregivers. Alzheimer's Society is a wealth of information. So we can refer to programs here and out in the community and provide extra resources. There's also stroke recovery group, and there's Parkinson's groups. So we can be referring all of these things to somebody that's looking after a spouse and needing extra support. Okay, so exercise programs. So the types of programs that we can refer if someone has mobility challenges to a balance class, we can refer them to walking groups. There's another really very cool program out in the community called Choose to Move, and I believe it's funded through the Ministry of Health. It's about an 8-week program, and you get some support with like a coach. So we can refer you to those programs as well. Yoga and Pilates, table tennis, all of these things are going to bring you a network of people that you're going to start meeting. And I think you mentioned it here, where table tennis is really, really popular here at Shoal, and quite serious it can get, and fun. So some folks come in and they are looking for extra support at home. They're frail, they're not able to do housekeeping. Life is just getting a little bit tougher. So what we can do is refer them, as Amanda was talking about, the Better at Home program. Probably the number one thing that people need is housekeeping. We do have a wait list. We can refer people to housekeeping. So Better Home Housekeeping, thank you. Private Home Care Services. We do research private home care agencies that are in our area. So we can refer to those, and we build connections with these community partners as well. So we get to know them very well, and we can refer back and forth. And there's also Island Health Supports. We can help people navigate Island Health, their systems and how they work, and make suggestions, how to maybe get respite for their loved one or provide support that way. One big thing that's very difficult is transportation when you lose the ability to drive yourself. So we do have a medical drive program here. We service a lot of people. We take them to their medical appointments. They can be in Sydney. It can be into Victoria. So that's one thing that we can refer to. We can help people with their Handy Dart applications. We can fax them in from here, and we can have them mailed to people's houses and just assist them with the application process, although that does need to be approved by your doctor. There's also a nonprofit agency called Cycling with Age, and they take people with disabilities and seniors out on these big double bikes. It's like a kabuki cab. They come by here and they'll take people down to the waterfront, so that another means of transport. And of course, the BC Bus Pass system. So some folks, as Amanda was saying, they have trouble, they lower income, rents are going up, and food is an issue. Nutritious food is an issue for them. So one thing that we do as community connectors is we're out there in the community, finding out who has meal programs. So we know right now in Sydney there are three, or in the peninsula, there's three churches that do community lunches on a Tuesday, Thursday, and on a Saturday. So people can go for free and have a really nice lunch at one of the churches. Here at Shoals Center, we do a soup social once a month that you can sign up for. It's free as well. And we always have a presentation that goes with that, with the soup social. Plus, we have 2 community meals here a week for $5. You can come in and have a meal, and there's usually about 12 to 20 people a meal. So that way you're making connections. And hopefully all of this is going to reduce isolation. So let's talk about a few very quickly, some examples here. So someone, they might not be frail, but they might be new to the community. They have no friends and they don't really know where to start. One thing that's not there is we can connect them to the welcome wagon. Also, we ask them, what do you like to do? They want to go to an art class. So we research art classes. We find out those programs for them. A local theater, book club. So now this lady's moved into the neighborhood. She's now got the opportunity to go with coffee with people that she's met. And she's starting to build a social network. So she's getting settled. So that's one of the jobs that a community connector can do. So for someone that has lost some of their mobility and they're on a low income, we can connect them to balanced classes. So give them more confidence. Again, talking about the community lunches, we can refer them to the community lunches that are in the neighborhood, and also the food bank. So we can suggest the food bank as well. So people that are on low income, they know it's there. It takes a little bit of strain off of their budgeting for the month. And we talked a little bit about this before. It's for someone that is taking care of a spouse, and the person has dementia or they have Parkinson's or they're just not well. We can connect them to housekeeping services. We can connect them to meals, whether that's frozen meals coming in. Again, we know some of the agencies across the province that provide that. We can suggest they contact the Alzheimer's Society First Link. That is an amazing resource for people. They have so much information. Family Caregivers of BC, another really great resource for folks. And you know, the support groups here, some people like to be in a group. For those that don't want to be in a group, we have another program here called Senior Peer Support, where someone can talk to a trained listener. They're not counselors, but they're listeners, so that they can talk about the experience that they're going through. And they're encouraged and supported that way as well. So I believe that that's probably all the time we have today. So thank you so much for coming and listening to our presentation from the United States.
So for those of you who still have questions, you can ask after the meeting closes, because I'm pretty sure they'll stay around available for asking questions. So at this time, though, I want to thank Amanda, Margot, and Helen for that wealth of information they provided today. And I would like now him from Hearing Life to come forward and describe the door prize that's there, and then draw the name of the winner for the door prize. So if you want to just step up to the microphone.
Oh, okay.
Tell them what the door prize is. Oops.
Well, okay, so it is the Flipper sweet treats, chocolate cookies, biscuits, chocolate covered pretzels, those types of things. It's going to be nice.
Good. Okay. Please pick a name out of there, just one, not multiples. And then, first of all, is it online or is it in person?
They're in person.
Good. Hopefully they're here.
Okay, I am looking for Brian Case.
Ryan, please come forward. We'll come up here and get your prize. That'd be great. A little phone on you.
Great. Well done. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Great.
There you go.
One or two of you. There we go. We can say, yes, they're actually with the real person here and they actually got it both. And so, no, thanks very much.
Very welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So in closing, I want to thank Helen and the Hearing Life for the door prize and also for the description of Hearing Life beforehand. And to Jennifer Van Ness, the director of the Beacon Services and the staff of Shoal for setting up this wonderful space for our meeting. Finally, I want to thank the chapter board secretary, Brenda, who's always a great help to me and was at the door helping you as you're coming in. As I mentioned, the session is being recorded. I'll turn it off shortly. It will be available roughly a week from now on YouTube. And that information will be on our Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/Vancouver Island. Sorry, CARP, Vancouver Island. And our next meeting will be here on March the 11th, and Michael Lowry from Western Response Team will be our speaker. I hope to see you all at that meeting. Our newsletter always contains information. It'll also have information about today and about the meetings coming up all the way till September. And if you have any questions, you can always email us. Our email address is just vancouverisland@carp.ca. And with that, I close the meeting. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.